friends. I'm your host, Erin Port, and welcome to the Simple Purposeful Living podcast. Life can be overwhelming and busy, so once a week, I invite you to join me, and together we will make simple tweaks to uncomplicate the hard parts of our life so we can spend more time doing what we love. Well, welcome back to the podcast. Today is our 19th wedding anniversary. So I have Scott joining me today. If you're watching on YouTube, you see us in all of our after dinner, running the kids around summer attire. We're looking cash tonight.
In sweatshirts.
That's right.
This is Iowa in June.
Greasy hair, the whole 9 yards. And Scott is getting the backhand glance of what it's like to be on the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, it looks like we're in my office, but we're actually... Where are we, Scott?
In our closet.
In our closet. Mm-hmm. And
good sound room.
Good sound room. It's not comfortable, you said.
No.
Well,
There's
always...
a plush couch here.
Yeah, no, it's not in the budget. We're scrappy around here. I always tell people, you be scrappy, you do make your dreams happen, and you don't have to have all the bells and whistles. Sorry that I don't have a plush couch for you, but thanks for coming on. Okay, so today we're talking about marriage. I asked my Instagram community. If you're not following, it's at Simple Purposeful Living on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. What questions you had for Scott and I after 19 years of marriage, and we would answer. We don't know anything, do we? No, nothing really. Anyway.
Just muddling through as we can.
Okay, so the first question is, what words of wisdom would you give your newlywed selves knowing what you know now?
What words of wisdom?
Yeah, what would you say?
A couple came to mind.
Okay.
One is, which I found useful, know your wife's or husband's love language. There's everybody has a different one, so kind of understanding that one.
What's your love language?
Quality.
I should ask you what my love language is. Just kidding. And then I'll tell you what yours is.
Okay.
I think.
Quality time is I'm telling what yours is?
Well, now I don't have to answer. Yeah, what's mine?
Yours is words of affirmation.
Yes. Yeah. But we tend to give.
Yes.
The way
we give the way we like to be
loved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your quality time and a little bit physical touch. Physical touch is like, and it's not intimacy. No. It's not that, but like that's probably besides gifts, the lowest on mine. So I have to intentionally try to touch you.
Give me a high five every now and then here.
Oh, that's not true. I do more than that.
I know, I'm messing with you. But I think communication is another one. Is just how learning and growing in that, and understanding. I guess, being open about things, because a lot of times we just think the other person knows what we're thinking. And we're still learning through that. So.
Yeah, we were listening to our pastor at church the other day, and he said, I've been married I think he said he'd been married 35 years. And he's like, there's still things about my wife that I don't know or understand. And everybody in the auditorium laughed. And I think that that's true. Like, I feel like every day, plus we're changing. We're always changing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still figuring out how I operate. So, we have a phrase in our house that we always say. We don't actually say the bad word, but we always say, you know what assuming means. It makes up out of you and me. And our teenagers think it's hilarious. But it's kind of our idea of like, don't assume what the other person is thinking, because might not be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think.
Absolutely.
And I think we thought we loved each other on the day we got married. And I did. I loved you so much. But I was like, but now living 19 years of life together, like it's like a deeper. Yeah.
More understanding, deeper understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But.
For all the struggles and the highs and the lows we've been through, you know? Yeah.
But we're still learning about each other as well and ourselves.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think we've also learned love is a choice, right? Like some days, you're just a gem. I love you so much, but some days you have to choose a little harder, right? Like some days I'm a little more prickly. You're watching on YouTube, you're seeing all sorts of facial expressions. You really should watch on YouTube. Would you agree though?
Yes.
Yeah.
We all have our days where we're, yes, agreed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is how our marriage works. He just says agreed all the time. You're supposed to talk. Okay.
Well, yeah. What else do you want me to say?
What's something you, okay, okay, I thought this was interestingly worded. What's something you feel like you learned way too late that you wished you'd learned sooner? And maybe we covered it, but is there something else that you wish you'd learned
Uh,
sooner?
yeah. Um, Handling conflict with each other.
Mm, what do you mean by that?
I was waiting for the follow up. So more like, so for me, just my nature is okay, we have a conflict between you and me. We have an issue, we aren't disagreeing, or I've hurt you, you hurt me, whatever it is, right? And my like go-to is like, or has been, is like, well, just avoid
Mm,
confronting it, confronting the awkward conversation. Like it's gonna blow over, she'll get over it. And then it's like the selfishness of like, oh, it's on her. It's her to figure it out, not
mm,
me, you know? So like that's was early in my, our relationship, marriage and stuff. And I mean, and it's still kind of like deep ingrained with me, but also like I've learned to like, okay, we don't just resolve conflicts by avoiding them, and we don't resolve
mhm,
our conflicts or disagreements by um, not engaging or learning the other side or saying sorry or having that understanding. And so it is the yeah. So now I'm like more okay. Let's talk about this, and
mhm,
then sometimes you may need a little more time before we can talk about it, or vice versa. But like we're still gonna talk about that early, rather than like days and days and days and like let it stew. And that's no, that's doesn't help um, our relationship, which then affects our family's
mhm,
dynamics as well. So that is something that I've learned.
mhm.
Like I said, I talked about, I said way late in the marriage, and I was like, yeah, it's probably if I had something better guidance and better knowledge and to do that early in our marriage, like there's a lot of like things that we would have been, gone through quicker and come out stronger or, faster on things. So,
I don't know I think a lot of people could relate to that because it's not something that's modeled very often.
mm,
Um, like like apologies and like confrontation. I don't feel like I had a lot of like
right,
deficit. I mean, I don't know. If my parents fought, it wasn't usually in front of me, so it wasn't like I saw them
right.
fight and then resolve the conflict well and then like I think too like in a married couple sometimes it's like you're learning kind of
Yeah.
almost like blind. Like
Yeah. When
how
you
does
don't have it
this
well modeled or modeled
yeah.
at all, it is a learning and growing. And, um, well, that didn't turn out well. Next time, maybe I should try option B,
Yeah.
whatever. So, yeah.
I think something that you have set the pace for is apologizing. And I've learned a lot from you in that. Like I also didn't grow up like necessarily seeing like up being like seeing a lot of apologies and like reconciling the
Yeah.
relationship. And so but that was something that's really important to me. Like it's biblical, right? And I think you've done it, you set the pace for that which humbled me and then helped me to be like, okay, you know, like I think we had a mentor one time, like even if you only owned, if even if you were only 10% of the problem, I loved how they said it. Like even if you're only 10% of the problem, own your 10% and
Yeah.
apologize. Like,
Yeah.
just own it. And I think that that's helpful. I think the thing that I learned, I would say too late, but here's the thing. I think all things happen at the
Hmm.
right time, right? And
Exactly.
we've learned.
I think too.
So, but in therapy this year, I was wanting you to do something for me, like stand up for me. And she said, well, what does that look like? And I said, I don't know. And she goes, well, if you don't know what it is for him to, like, what it looks like for him to do it, then how do you expect him to know? And that was really insightful for me of being able to, like, okay, I need to know what it looks like so that I can tell him because we're on the same team. And I think that was really
Hmm.
helpful to be able to process like ahead of time in situations like this is what it will look like to be helpful to me in this situation where I feel, maybe undervalued or I feel like slighted or
Hmm.
hurt or what, not from you but from in a situation.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly. I think that's, I agree with that. Like that's,
It was a huge
because
aha.
I mean, I can recall there's been like, again, conflicts where it's like,
You didn't stand up for me
you,
or
yeah, you didn't do them like, and then it was like, like, okay, great. Like
What did you want me to do?
I see what you're saying, but also like what should I have done? Like what? And then it's like racking my brain like I'm a
Mhm.
horrible husband and what did I do wrong and how can I make it? And I should have known better, but even though I don't, can see what I've seen. So
Yeah, I thought that
yeah.
was really insightful by my therapist. So I think now we go into situations where like I know like okay, this is going to be a more difficult situation.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what would be helpful to me
Yeah.
in this situation. And then like you've been way more successful with a lot less conflict as a
Yeah.
result, right? Because
Yeah.
yeah, so I think
Yep.
that's good. Just again, that communication piece.
Yeah. 100%.
Okay, what these are all kind of similar, but all have a little bit different flair. So I like this
Okay.
one. What's your best marriage advice for couples with little kids? So we have, if you're new to listening, we have an almost 16-year-old, almost 14-year-old, 10, and 8-year-old.
Yes.
So we were in the little, it feels like yesterday they were little. I'm gonna get a little nostalgic. But they're big now.
Yeah.
Um, but what would your best marriage advice be?
For couples,
Mm-hmm.
couple things. It's probably almost, I think on, I guess, marriage and parenting is like being on the same page.
Mm-hmm. At
Um,
least outwardly.
Outwardly, yes, because
Do
that's gonna
not
help.
let them see a crack
No,
because they can sniff it a mile away.
yes, they can.
Mom and dad are not on the same page. We're going after one.
That's right. That's right. So you gotta be on the same page
Mm-hmm.
outwardly. But also that I guess on the couple side of spending intentional time together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and either that's after you put the kids to bed and just watching a movie or watching TV or a show, which is not your thing, or going for a walk together and
Yeah.
trying to make that intentional time together, without the distractions and it's hard, like even walking, you can't leave your kid at home. I get that. But also, is there a game that you can play together? I mean, there's a whole list of things I'm sure. I'm in love with Chat GPT, so I'm sure there's a few things out there that can, ask the question and they'll answer it. But yeah, I think there's one of those things too. And I think, um, yeah, like I said, just kind of how to have that intentional time, and making that intentional effort. Is that making dinner together or whatever it
Yeah.
is? So
I think what we've realized now that we have big kids is you think this whole time you think like, oh, I can't wait till I have babysitters.
yeah,
And then those babysitters have the audacity to have their own stinking plans.
that's right.
And then you're like, well, wait a minute. Now our nights are consumed with teenagers, which is great. And we want teenagers in our home and we love to do that, right?
Yeah,
But I think most people think, like, when my kids get older, I'm going to have more time.
yeah,
And I think it's just like with anything in life, like, if you're never faithful with the little that you have, you'll never be faithful with the much. And I think it's the same with our time. Like, be faithful with the little time you have, be intentional with the little time you have because someday we are going to have more time when our kids are gone. And I just remember I think it was one of our parents said someday your kids are going to leave and you hope that you still like each other at the end of it all, right? And so yeah, I think too having activities like you said that you can enjoy together. I think we like playing games, going like we like to walk together.
yeah.
I am not a movie watcher. I mean, I have like literally anxiety thinking
Nice.
about it right now. Like it is like anxiety inducing being forced to sit on a couch for 2 hours. Oh, aren't they all just like, wow, being married to Aaron. Yeah, Scott is getting an extra crown in heaven.
Jeez. Unless it's Hallmark. I'll take
Hallmark
it.
at Christmas.
We got
Yeah, then I'll
we
do
got
it.
8 hours designated for that
Yeah,
birthday.
remember the one time we watched three in a row and someone's like, my oldest was like, Mom, are you sick?
Yeah,
What's wrong
she
with
thought
you?
she was dying. It's like, no, I got my Hallmark shirt on. I'm just watching Hallmark today.
Just at the holidays.
Okay.
It's a special occasion. Okay, so what has grown your faith most in marriage? Okay, so I'll answer and then I'll see
Okay.
what you have to say. I think we don't like hard things as humans. Like we try to avoid hard things as much as possible. But I think some of the hardest things we've walked through, I
Hmm.
being in therapy this year, I remember at the very beginning, she told me the people closest to you, it's going to disrupt your equilibrium. As you're trying to figure out all of these feelings and emotions, it's going to affect the equilibrium. And it has been harder in our marriage this year because I'm like stumbling around a little bit, falling down and getting back up, trying to figure out what it looks like.
Yeah.
But I think over the course of the last year, it has forced us to really look at our marriage, look at ourselves, look, and grow. And I think hard things make good things grow. I think we grow the most. If we really were to look back on our lives and say, when did I grow the most, either in my faith or in my life? It's
Hmm.
hard things, right? Like I look at my business, and the day that my identity was stolen on Amazon was a horrible day. But did I learn a lot and
Yeah.
change as a result? Absolutely. And so I would say, I think some of the, walking through adoption, walking through infertility, walking through leaving our church, we've had some family difficulties and
Hmm.
differences of opinions that we've had to walk through together, kind of forming our own family union. The further you get in your marriage, the more you kind of, I wouldn't say distance yourself from your parents, but you're kind of
Yeah.
you're
It makes
you're one,
communication
right?
family
Yeah.
stronger. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would just say, there's bumps along the way in that
Yeah.
too. So I would just say the hardest things have grown us the most.
I
Can you
cannot
say ditto?
disagree. I cannot. You said it way better than I would have ever. Yes.
What did you write down? Did you write
Well, I
anything down?
kind of misinterpreted the question. So, but as you explained, I'm like, yes, that's ding, ding, ding.
Oh, podcaster host error.
Ding, ding, ding.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Okay.
So,
Okay, so since I don't watch movies, they want to know how we stay connected as a couple daily, especially with so many priorities, which I thought was a good question because I think it does come something that my business coach said a couple of weeks ago that has stuck with me is if you want a particular outcome, we focus so much on the outcome. Like, I want a really good, flourishing marriage. And I've been thinking about this as I've been praying for our marriage. Like, I want a really good, flourishing marriage. And we focus on that and we pray for that. She said, but what we really need to do is step back and say, what is the daily input? Like, what am I doing every single day to get me to that outcome?
mhm,
Because that is going to be what really
yeah.
helps. And so she was talking in the business sense, but I thought about it in like parenting and faith and marriage. And so I've just been really thinking about like what is that daily input in our marriage? So what would you say we do?
So, yeah, I was concentrating on daily
Yeah.
as part of the question, and um, what we do daily, where we really spend quality time, we are focused on each other, is the dinner table.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yes, there's days I'm gone or whoever's gone for whatever it is, right? But that is like 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We're all together around the table, uh, talking to each other, in how your feelings and your day, what's going on next tomorrow. Yeah, just like and funny questions that we do are really interesting. Like you learn a lot about each other as well when you kind of answer, kind of have those fun game questions we sometimes do as well. And um, so yeah, it's those dinner time where it is a consistent time, and everybody knows we're there. We're there to, eat, but also like have conversation and be a family and just be the six of us, as
Or
much as we
whoever's
can,
there.
or whoever else there. But like it's part of, so yeah, that's the daily connection we're able to get all around the table, six of us, no screens, all of that.
And I think too, like as far as like a couple, I find that we'll like linger a
Yeah.
little bit longer. You and I clean
Yeah.
the kitchen together afterwards. So while
Right.
we're doing like a task or a chore, we're chatting about our days, following up on like anything that we like as long as it's not like sensitive to the kids, but like we'll talk through things or like, hey, I was thinking about that. Like I texted you today about something that we've been talking about, and I was like, hey, this is typical of me. I'll be like, hey, I just have to text you before I forget because every mom listening is like, I understand because it's going to be gone by the time you get home, or I'll have like 4,000 notes on my hand. If you're watching on YouTube, I've got notes on my hand. But I texted you and I was like, hey, let's just like reconvene about this tonight. And then while we were getting cleaned up from dinner, or actually while we were making dinner, we were chatting about it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because that's evolved a little bit too as our kids have gotten older. Dinner time is not as stressful because everybody eats for the
Yeah.
most part. Remember when we used to have to be like, please finish,
Yes.
please just eat something.
Have something.
And now we're like, please don't eat everything. I was hoping for leftovers.
Yes. Yes.
But I think that like you said, that time, because then after that, like it might be that like one of us has to go get a kid
Right.
or, like we're kind of back. But I think
Yeah.
that, like you said, that meal time is really important, which is why I developed the meal planner.
Yeah. And the brain dump, considering how.
Oh yes, yeah, the brain dump, all
But
my
yeah.
mental gymnastics.
Yeah, and it does, like, I do feel like there is, like, hindsight looking back, it's like those days when we are rushing, 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 it's like, there's like this little bit of like a void, like, didn't quite connect, like,
Yeah.
so, and then there's, other times he's like not as consistent, but like going, heading to bed early or whatever, and just
Hmm.
like, again, doing whatever, of watching the TV or having kids like put to bed or whatever too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's kind of evolved over time too, where you really are involved more in putting the kids to bed. Our older two put us to bed most nights. And our little two, I have kind of like loosened the rein. Like I thought as a good mom, I had to put them to bed. And then it was like, no, that's your time with, I get time with them after school. But it's kind of evolved, would you say, maybe even in the last year, where like
Yeah.
you're more in charge of that?
Uh-huh.
And our bedtime
Thanks.
routine is pretty minimal, but like Lucille especially, like you have little things you do with them where you rinse
Yeah.
them to bed and like those things really matter
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah. I haven't even told you this. There was a put Vera to bed the other day. She's like, Dad, it's been a long time. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be doing maybe doing a little more of that than
Hmm.
it's been a while.
It's
So
a
yeah,
good parenting hack.
yeah, yeah.
Listen carefully to what your kids say.
Oh, she's all kind of giddy, and she's like, because she was going on her trip, and so I was like, I'll tuck you in tonight. And she's like, oh, it's been a long time. So like,
Mm.
so mental note when she gets back, kind of make that more again. Good to have that priority and reminder.
And I know we talk a lot about walking, but I think walking, I don't know when it became so invaluable to us. I don't know. But it was a cheap form of a date. Like, and it was an aha when I was like, you know what? We don't actually have to have any food to be on a date and like walking. So we'll go, I would say most weekends.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing it on Fridays, and then your work has changed a little bit. So you're not quite as flexible on Fridays. But I would say at least once or twice a weekend, we try to
Yeah.
walk together.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you're shoulder to shoulder with somebody,
Yeah.
or even on the car on the way to church, I just feel like you can be intentional with any amount of time you have as
Yeah.
long as you're like, okay, we're just not
Paying
we're gonna put
attention.
our foot we're gonna put our phones down. I think, we have some no phone zones where like, try not to be on it when we're in the car all together or when we're around the table so we can be intentional in chatting.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yep.
Whew, we're gonna be here all night. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Okay, what does Scott do for work? And how does that play into your routines as a family and a couple? I thought that was an interesting
Yep.
question. So what do you do for work?
I am the vice president of transportation for McClure Engineering, which is a civil engineering firm. So we're my division. We design roadways, and everything kind of within that, trails, storm sewer, water mains, sanitary sewer. We have a whole bunch of other, parts of our company that does different parts, water treatment plants and airports and survey and all sorts of things as well. But yeah, so I'm kind of in charge of them, that team, transportation team. And as far as routines, um, for the most part, I would say, 4 out of 5 days, I'm able to be home for dinner. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving kind of as kids are up, getting ready for, um, school, generally, and get home by dinner time. And then, there are days like obviously I'm not going to be there for meetings or conferences or um or whatnot. So visiting others. Uh so yeah, like, so I'll miss those. And so if that's, a call at the around bedtime or after, dinner or whatever, to kind of check in with everybody, that's a routine to do I do as well. And
I think it's helpful, like a long time ago, even before he took on this new role, you took it on in February, you got your
yeah,
promotion. But I think a long time ago, we started sharing long range calendars.
yes.
So and I don't know that that's like super, like, I don't know that a lot of your colleagues do this.
No, they don't. I've actually forwarded my like things on, and like, who's this? I'm like, oh, that's my wife. I forwarded on the my meeting to her.
Yeah.
I was gonna be like gone for whatever, the conference or whatever. So,
Yeah, so like he invites me then to like not necessarily he doesn't
so
invite me
maybe,
to
yeah,
the meeting, but like he'll
switched it
invite
up a
me
little
to
bit, but
yeah.
yeah,
He's invited me or like added me to the so I can see it in our family calendar so then we can just
yeah,
plan on the routine because for me and of course there's things that come up and then he just calls me because like one day he got stuck in traffic and so you can't control that so you're like okay we'll figure out things or
yeah,
whatever because with 4 kids there's just a lot that we have like right now we have an almost driver. He's so close.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot sometimes where it's like we have to divide and conquer.
Mm-hmm.
But if we know and we're on the same page, I think that's super helpful. So
Yeah.
I think that's our big routine. And then, like I said, every Sunday I have the weekly plan. We post it on the fridge. We kind of have like a little meeting of the minds, if you will, to say
Mm-hmm.
like, this is what's on tap for the week. This is where I need you. And then before you leave every day for work, you're like, okay, this is what I think we have going on. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes,
So my calendar says like
yes,
I don't have to be home or I gotta be home by
yes,
4 because I pick up whoever for you.
yeah.
Yeah, and you're over here. So,
Again, just
but
that communication, I think, has helped us so much. Just those little daily tweaks of those
yeah,
things. Yeah.
yeah, agreed.
Okay. Um, we could probably just say this in one word. Besides your wedding and your kids, what's been your favorite shared moment? One, two, three. Zermatt.
Switzerland.
Okay,
Oh.
well, Zermatt or Switzerland.
Zermatt.
I was being more specific.
Yes,
We how
Zermatt.
Zermatt, specifically probably the day we went up the Gornegrat to look
Hmm.
over the Matterhorn, and then we hiked down the mountain. I highly suggest hiking down.
It
It's
wasn't
a
even really a walk
it
or a
was
hike. It was a beautiful wall,
what
stream,
yeah,
fall, whatever.
yes, but it's nice because you're not dealing with the
Yes,
altitude. We're just walking downhill.
yes,
Walking up,
it's
everybody
beautiful.
looked like they were in pain. Um, but it was just amazing. We didn't have our phones. It was just the six of us. It was beautiful. We
Hmm.
had like apples on a rock. I was just like
Yeah.
one with nature. I don't
Yep.
know. It
Yep.
was incredible. And if you asked any of our kids,
Oh, they've all
I
said
think
the
that
same
they
thing.
said the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, just, I mean,
Yeah.
you almost want to go back, but you know it could never,
Yeah.
ever be replicated. I
No.
think that's another question. What has been your favorite date? And we said um, that the best dates we've had are the ones that were unexpected. Like,
Yeah.
just like, we went into it with no expectations because it just almost
Well,
surprises you.
yeah, I think it says like we're discovering new things together.
Mm-hmm.
Like that whole again going back to Zermatt is like we're discovering this lake right here and like the mountain and walking down and the bells of the cows, like we're
Mm-hmm.
discovering that together with our family. Like it's like all new and it's exciting and it's um unexpected. And so yeah, I think those little times where we're going on a little trip here or there, or went played this game at this restaurant that we just, well, let's go play whatever it is, right? Okay, like that was fun. It's discovering it together, working. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we went, was it a year ago that we went and played shuffleboard
Hmm.
like at a local restaurant? It was just so much fun. It was just like we try to do like a date during the school year on a couple Fridays a month. Sometimes we'll eat at home, sometimes we'll go out just because, again, teenagers, we found that like a weekday lunch works really well in this season.
Yeah.
And then the one day this spring, one of my favorites was you taught me how to play poker at the local pub. I was like, nobody's ever taught me how to play poker. He's like, well,
Yeah.
while we're waiting for our burgers, I'll teach you how.
Yeah. There you
It
go.
was so fun. So yeah, I think when you're doing new things together,
Yeah.
yeah, just like no expectations. Like we're just gonna go try this out, right?
Yep.
And
Park or whatever. Yeah.
I think we're pretty simple too. Like we're not
Yeah.
big on like spending a lot of money on concert. Yeah, I tell you guys, I'm on brand. We're on brand. We're simpletons. We're just simple things.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we're almost to the end. What is your favorite quality in each other? You only can pick one, Scott.
I
I know
know.
there's so many.
List.
Oh, stop.
Uh, no, I think it is how you make me feel. And like just the laughter the that you provide our family and to me and this the fun really top of that and then um the other one is just like how you care so deeply for
Mm.
people anybody that you've ever encountered. I feel like you just had this deep connection. Like if it's a waitress at the local restaurant, you're going to ask her where she, by the time we're done, you're going to know her whole entire background um yeah, your just love for people and pouring out for them and giving like that is a amazing quality.
Some
So
might say I'm just nosy.
no, they're just jealous.
I'm nosy. No, I do. Yeah, well, that's very kind of you. Yeah, I always say I'm a chronic overthinker. I've probably thought about that person more than they probably even realized how much I've thought about
Yeah,
them. Yeah. We do have a lot of fun together. I would say
yeah,
one of the cornerstones of our family, um, and I think that you are incredibly steady. He's an engineer, friends, like through and through. He's steady. But the thing I love about that is he's steady. So that means that all of us can chase our dreams in this home because he's providing like this safety net for us. Like he's the provider. He's always been my biggest cheerleader about pursuing simple purposeful living, whether it's making $0, which for years it made $0, and for the last couple of years it's been harder. And I'm like, maybe I should go get a different job and make more money. And you were like, no, this is your ministry. This is, and like that, I've like, it's just such a quality because I think if I was married to anybody else, I would have quit because when the hard times get tough, like he is a rock. He's so steady and he just, and I think another thing that you really have set the pace for in the last few years is prayer and like praying for me and the kids and just like modeling that, not just saying like I'm praying for you, but like getting up at the crack of dawn, going for a walk so that you're caring for your body and then prayer. And I think that that just, I think will speak volumes to our kids for years and just knowing that you're actually the things that you're praying for, I'm too scared to pray for myself. He's like praying for my book and for the business, and I'm like, I don't know. He's like, no, I'm praying for that for you. So I need that in my life because, yeah, it's just been such a gift. So
Mm.
I would say that. And then just your willingness to always go with whatever I have to say. Like, I'm like, let's go do this. Okay, let's go on an adventure. I'm like,
It's gonna be fun with
well,
you.
there
It's
you
gonna
go.
be
There you go. Okay. You trust me. There's some trust there.
Absolutely.
Okay, Scott. So I asked every
Okay.
guest at the end of every interview, you're disappearing because this is you disappeared
I've
out
been
of the
sitting on my
I know
tush here. It's
I'm,
getting a little
Scott expects
copper-jawed. Okay.
did you just hear it's a little lean in the business this year.
Oh, it's
It's
all
not
perfect.
it's
It's
not in
perfect.
the budget to
It's
buy
just
a couch.
42. That's all it is. Nothing to do with any of
1 year older than me. Okay. Scott, I end every interview with this question. What's your favorite tiny tweak that you've made lately that has made your life 100 times easier or lighter? And don't tell me you've never heard the word tweak in our house.
that. So I went off recent because I've been tweaking for a long time now. Um, but um, I would say just something is taking immediate action when I have uh asked to do like on my phone of like what a couple things like immediate action like if I can do that now, I'll do that now rather than putting off. Because or hey, I have like an immediate action of this is a reminder I gotta do something tomorrow. Okay, put it in my phone now because there's so many times yes, I'll do that when I go to bed or do that before and I gone out. So, or a to-do list of I gotta do this things like on. So it's kind of like brain dumping it, right? So that's been a tweak of I've been in the past it's been I'll remember that I'll do that and I don't, right? So it's taking those immediate actions. And on a lighter note. As you may have heard, I had a car wash, a subscription.
Oh, yes. I got him a car wash subscription for, was it Father's Day or
Oh, well,
anniversary?
you
They're
tell
really
me.
close.
You tell me.
Okay. I think the kids wanted to get you the car wash.
Yeah.
I'll tell them the other tweak you're making is the other gift I got you.
So the car wash is like able to, it's not really on my like normal original route, but like simple tweak is like if I go this different routes, I can actually
Mm.
use it and keep that car clean, which has been and it has been working. So there's a tweak that's keeping my
So
car
you just,
clean, decluttered, and by just making that simple tweak of changing my route. So
the kids are pretty proud of you. They're like, Dad is keeping his car
so
so clean.
that's a recent one, like just yeah. So
Because your other
less
because your other car died, which I don't know that I ever talked about. Literally, we drive our cars till they die, and it sputtered to a complete stop one day. So you got a new car, a new to you car in February, and so we were like, "This is a new to you car. You should, yeah." So they kids were like, "He needs a car wash so he can keep it clean." So okay, and what's
perfect.
the other tweak that you asked for this, and I was like, "I'll give that for you for your anniversary." So what is your other tweak? You're starting it tomorrow.
Oh yeah, it's like
Excited. Be excited.
stressed. It is going yeah your trainer. So
Mhm.
just a couple doors down, and which is nice. That's uh easy to get to. So tweak is
Weightlifting tips.
weightlifting. So I'm trying to get that. It's like I said, I've been walking. We said that earlier, but now it's the next step of like getting older, getting stronger, just for balance and strength as I get older. So I
Well, because
need
you
to get,
said your inspiration was your grandma. Tell them the
yes.
story about your grandma. Like,
Oh,
what did she do to the day she died?
see, she was like a few
99.
days shy of 101, I think, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken. So, but yeah, she would every day as a, your uh 8-year-old boy, and she comes to visit for Christmas, right? And it's like, okay, grandma's in the hallway doing these stretches, and she has like this uh
Big.
can of whatever green beans that she's in bed like just moving her arm up and down, like, and then she goes walking all the times. Like, grandma's kind of weird. Look back, grandma had it right. I mean, she got to 101, she was in great health. And she was, stretching every day. She was lifting her weights every day, and she
Mhm.
was walking every day. And so, the more I look back on her, the more I was like, "Yep, she had it right in so many phases of her life." So, uh, so yeah, so an inspiration for me.
Yeah. And even in her old age, like I just even remember like eating and drinking wise, she'd always just be like, I'll have a sliver of each of the desserts
Hmm,
and I'll have a pinch inch of the wine. Like those
that's
were
it.
her like when we had her funeral, like that was like we honored her with a pinch inch of the wine and a sliver of each of the desserts
Yes,
because that was her in a nutshell.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And my grandma was the same way. So both of our grandmas really inspired us. And my grandma's still living in her 90s and still goes to workout class
Mm-hmm.
multiple times a week. So
Yep.
they're smart ladies. Well, they had us as offspring, so Well, Scott, this was so fun.
Yes, it
This
was.
is our
Thanks for having me.
graduation. All right. Well,
Good.
I didn't realize it's been 2 years since I've had you on the podcast. It was
It's
overdue.
probably been, I did the Instagram takeover at one time. It's been even longer
Yes.
than that.
There's probably people that don't even know that you've taken over my Instagram in the past. Maybe we should bring that back. Let us know. DM me. Do you want Scott to take over my Instagram?
Wowzers.
He's like, no.
That was stressful.
Well, honey,
Yeah.
happy anniversary.
Likewise. Anniversary.
I will
High
be in
five.
I'm actually in Minnesota with the girls on our anniversary, but we're going away together. You planned it. We're going to get away for a couple of nights, just the two of us, which will be really nice.
Yep.
So, all right, friends, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you take a tiny tweak away that you can apply to your marriage today. Remember, you can follow along at Simple Purposeful Living on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all the places. Until next week, remember, you don't need to overhaul your life or your marriage to love it when one tiny tweak at a time will do. See you next week, friends. If you liked this episode, it would mean so much if you'd share it with a friend or leave a quick rating and review so others can find our show. Until next time, you can find me at Simple Purposeful Living on Instagram and Facebook.